Who still plays with marbles? When Ferdinand was still a little boy, marbles were colorful clay balls. Each of his friends always had their little bag of marbles to hand because whether in the school playground, in the garden in the afternoons, or at home with the neighborhood lads, they'd play marbles to their heart's content. Wherever there was a bit of sand, a marble run would be built. Holes would be dug that had to be navigated around. There were ramps, bridges, and, of course, finish lines. Later on, marbles made of colored glass came along, and if you weren't careful, you could lose one of your beautiful glass marbles to your opponent. But Ferdinand never came home with a completely empty bag. One day you lose, the next day you win. The main thing was that his friends and schoolmates all had a great time playing together. Ferdinand wasn't just a keen marbles player, he was also very skillful at constantly inventing new marble runs and crafting ever-new obstacles that you had to navigate with the marble. Sometimes he'd sit alone in his sandpit with small pieces of wood, cardboard, and some wire to hand, thinking up a new attraction for the marbles game. Once it was finished and he'd tested it thoroughly, he'd show it to his friends, and straight away their passion for playing marbles would be rekindled, this time incorporating the new obstacle. "You've really come up with another brilliant idea." Ferdinand heard that quite often, and he liked hearing it. One evening, he was looking at the marbles in his marble bag once again. He'd won a few new additions that afternoon. As he did so, he discovered a particularly beautiful glass marble. Ferdinand held it up to the light. The marble was a wonderfully luminous blue. "I certainly don't want to lose that one again." So he took the glass marble and placed it on the shelf, where other marble treasures were already kept, a place Ferdinand secretly called his Marble Museum. That night he was woken up, but at first, and probably for a moment afterwards too, he didn't know what had woken him. He squinted into the familiar darkness, but it wasn't quite as dark as he was used to. A bluish glow was coming from somewhere. Ferdinand sat up in bed, rubbed his eyes in amazement, and looked around. Sure enough, a blue glow, and it was coming straight from the Marble Museum, or to be more precise, from his latest acquisition. The beautiful blue glass marble was glowing in the dark. "Well, if this carries on, I'll have to find another place for this marble at night." After all, he'd never been able to sleep well with lighting around. But now he was awake, and hesitantly, he walked over to the glowing marble. "Well, you're really giving me a hard time, glowing away like this in the middle of the night. How am I supposed to get a proper night's sleep? And who would have thought it? Not even me." A reply came, which was actually a question. "Can anyone hear me? Is there anyone there who has my glass marble?" Talking little glass marbles were, after all, a great rarity, so one can well imagine just how startled even Ferdinand was, despite being constantly busy with marbles and clickers. "Huh?" was the first thing that came out of his mouth. Then, "Is someone speaking?" "Of course someone's speaking, it's me. For years I've been trying to make contact with someone through this little glass marble, but it seems the marble always ends up in a bag or a tin, gets forgotten in someone's trouser pocket, or even gets left lying in the sand somewhere outside at night." "Well, I put the marble here on the shelf," replied Ferdinand hesitantly. "Who are you then?" "I'm talking out loud to a marble. Either I'm dreaming or I've gone mad," Ferdinand concluded to himself. No, you're not talking to a marble, whatever that is. You're talking to me, and I've been trying for years to talk to someone through this little glass ball. You're not dreaming, absolutely not. And I'm over the moon to have finally found someone I can talk to." Once again, "Who are you then?" "Right. How can I best explain this to you? We don't have much time left, you see. Once the moon sets, we won't be able to talk to each other again until the next full moon. I'm stuck here. That's my problem. And you might just be the one who can free me from this terrible predicament. My name won't mean anything to you. I'm the troll Degenreif, and I'm already over 260 years old. To find me, All you need to do is hold the orb firmly in your hand, preferably on a clear moonlit night, and it will lead you straight to me, and we'll have more time to talk and explain things." That was a lot of information, which Ferdinand would have to think about again. Degenreif. That's a rather strange name. Not for a troll, there are certainly stranger names amongst my kind. Ferdinand then asked, "What on earth is a troll, anyway?" Imagine a little garden gnome, only a bit bigger and a bit older, and not painted in such bright colors, that actually comes quite close to what a troll might look like. "And what is your name, young friend?" "I'm Ferdinand, and I'm already 7 years old." "Dear Ferdinand, the moon is about to set, and then this connection will fade. Shall we speak again at the next full moon? Agreed? Just don't lose my orb. I so very much hope you're the right boy to help me out of my predicament. If you lose the orb, I might have to wait many years again before I'm lucky enough to speak to anyone." Ferdinand promised. The glow of the glass ball faded. The voice of the troll, Degenreif, fell silent, and he went back to bed. During those last hours of the night, he had some very strange dreams. But who could be surprised by that? The next morning, Ferdinand woke up and went straight to the mysterious glass marble. It was still there, looking as beautiful as ever. If he hadn't dreamt it all, he would be the only boy at that moment who could help the troll Degenreif. But he was only 7 years old. There was no need for Ferdinand to think twice. He would speak to his father. He could always talk to him about anything. His father would know what to do. His father had his office in the annex. Ferdinand decided that as soon as he got home from school, he would knock on his father's office door and ask for his advice. At last, school was out. It was almost 1:30 in the afternoon. The walk home, lunch, and then, before he started on his homework, he knocked on his father's door in the annex. "Come in, young man." His father recognized his knock straight away. "Hello, Dad. I need to have a word with you. Something very strange has happened." "Of course, my son. Come in, close the door, and sit down with me." "Well, here's what happened. At some point over the last few days, whilst playing marbles, I found a special glass marble. Someone must have left it in the sand. I don't know when, but anyway, it ended up in my marble bag later on. The glass marble is so beautiful that I don't want to lose it, so I put it in my marble museum. You know, my little collection of special marbles." The father: "Yes, I used to have a collection like that when I was a lad." "Well, there's something strange about this marble. Last night it glowed so brightly that it woke me up, and just imagine, when I got really close to the marble, someone spoke to me." "What?" The father was astonished, worried, and looked at his son very seriously. Ferdinand told the whole story, everything that the troll Degenreif had told him. "Well, that's something. Come on, show me the glass marble." The father stood up, took Ferdinand by the hand, and soon they were standing in the children's room, where Ferdinand pointed to the beautiful glass marble, which was glowing softly. "Indeed, that really is something special. I've never seen anything like it either." His father took it in his hand, held it to his ear, then to his mouth, and said, "Hello?" But there was no reply. "It's only supposed to work again at the next full moon. At least that's what the troll Degenreif said, Dad." His father took out his mobile and checked a lunar calendar to see when the next full moon would be. "Yes, bad luck. It was yesterday. Now we'll have to wait another 28 days. Did he say anything else? Where he might be, perhaps?" "Yes, not exactly. He said that if I held the glass marble firmly in my hand on a full moon night, it would lead me straight to him. You know what? I'm coming along on this adventure. By the next full moon, we'll be all set. Rucksacks with food and sleeping bags, walking boots. You never know how long we'll be away. Then we'll get to the bottom of this with your troll Degenreif. Maybe the little chap really is in a tight spot and we can help. Besides, I'm curious. I've only very rarely heard anything about trolls and the amazing stories about them, and I've never actually seen one. Until now, they've always just been fairy tales to me. The weeks dragged on. Time just wouldn't pass. But then the moment finally arrived. "Dad, tomorrow's the full moon." "Oh, you don't think I'd have forgotten that, do you, Ferdinand?" His father laughed and pointed behind him to a table where his old rucksack stood. He'd even bought a brand new one for Ferdinand, and a pair of walking boots to go with it. As fate would have it, Father and Ferdinand lived on their own. So the next afternoon, his father set about packing the rucksacks neatly with provisions. Ferdinand was told to lie down and rest for an hour, as it might well be a long night's walk. You never knew. It grew dark. The moon shone brightly in the sky, and father and son were ready to set off. Ferdinand clutched the glass ball tightly in his hand and called out into the air, "Troll Degenreif, can you hear me? My father and I are now setting off to find you. Can you hear me?" Ferdinand didn't have to wait long for a reply. "Little Ferdinand, how marvelous. Tell me, do you have a garden?" "Yes, there's a small garden behind our house, but my granddad also has an allotment. Why?" "Well, if you have a garden, I can shorten the way for you to get to me. Just hold the glass ball firmly in your hand and give your father your other hand. Go into the garden and trust the ball. It will guide you safely." "Why should we talk any longer?" said his father, taking Ferdinand by the hand and feeling very curious to see what would happen next. Ferdinand held the orb firmly in his hand, and as the moonlight fell upon it, he felt the orb pulling him in a certain direction through the garden. Strange. He knew the garden around the house inside out, but he couldn't remember this gap in the hedge. Through the hedge, they entered a sort of arbor, and the orb pulled Ferdinand on, undeterred. Soon it grew misty, and Ferdinand felt a little scared. He held tightly to his father's hand as he walked right beside him. The orb set the direction, and after quite a while, the mist cleared, and they found themselves in a clearing right next to the entrance to a cave. Then the orb's pull stopped. It seemed as though they had arrived. "I'm going to step out of the cave a little way now. Please don't be alarmed. All those years in the cave without a mirror, a brush, or a wash basin have left me looking a bit disheveled." "Don't worry, we're prepared for anything." Ferdinand wasn't quite as brave as his father, but he called into the cave too. "It'll be fine." A small figure approached. Ferdinand estimated it to be just under a meter tall. Strangely enough, the creature was walking backwards. "Right. I can't come much further out. It's because of my beard, which simply grows too slowly." The little creature was still standing in the shadow of the cave. The moonlight didn't reach it, but the father had made provisions. "We've brought a torch with us. May I switch it on?" "By all means, I haven't seen any light for ages." The father switched on the torch he'd brought, and then father and son could see the troll Degenreif quite clearly. He was standing with his back to them, facing the cave entrance, and his long beard disappeared into the darkness of the cave from his chin down. "Just think, another 20 years and I'll almost be in the moonlight." The troll certainly hadn't lost his sense of humor. "What happened to your beard then?" "Oh, that's quite a story. Once again, I couldn't keep my big mouth shut and had taken a swinging at a miserly warlock for treating his apprentice so shamefully." "Well, I'll give you time to think about meddling in other people's affairs," he'd said. Then he wedged my beard into a rock in this secluded cave and cast a spell so that not even I could free it in 100 years. "And how much time has passed since then?" The father did the maths. "About 20 years, if I judge by the length of my beard. But after about 5 years, an elf crossed my path here. She couldn't free me, but she gave me 2 glass orbs. I have one here in my robe. The elf sent the other on a journey across the land. That was how I was to find a savior." "And what became of the sorcerer?" Ferdinand asked this rather important question. "I don't know exactly, but the elf told me that he'd been banished by his own kind." The father. Well, first things first. Let me see where your long beard is caught. Just follow the beard into the cave. You can't miss it. Ferdinand accompanied his father, who illuminated the narrow path with his torch. After just a few meters, the beard disappeared into a massive rock. Pulling didn't help, no matter how hard his father tried. I've given up on that over the years. Well, I'm not giving up that easily. After all, I'm a civil engineer. Ferdinand, go outside and look for some dry wood to make a wedge. Meanwhile, I'll climb up the rock and see if I can spot a crack. This rock is usually porous. The troll stayed with his father and watched his investigations with keen interest. Could it really be that he would be rescued tonight, after 20 long years in the cave, in solitude, apart from the elf's rare visits? In his rucksack, the father had a small hatchet, a pocket knife, and all sorts of other things that might come in handy on unfamiliar paths. When Ferdinand returned with a fine old dry branch, he set to work straight away, carving a few wedges out of it. "Is there any water round here?" his father asked. "I don't know about outside, but there's a spot where water drips from the cave ceiling. It collects in a small basin. Shine your torch to the right of the cave entrance. There's a niche there." The stone basin was filled to the brim with water. That was good. The father climbed back up onto the rock, the one that held Degenreif's beard so firmly in its grip, with the axe and the finished wedges. There, he hammered the wedges into a small crevice in the rock with all his might. "Now I need the water. We've got cups with us after all." Cup by cup, he poured water over the wooden wedges. Then he climbed back down. "Right, that should do it. Now we just have to wait. How about some supper?" "Yes, I'm afraid I've not much to offer," said the troll with a helpless gesture. "No, no," cried the father. "That's not what I meant. We've brought everything with us as befits an adventure like this." Then he laid out what he'd packed at home, and the troll's eyes nearly popped out of his head at the sight of all those delicacies. After all, for 20 years he'd lived on nothing but water, tiny insects, mushrooms and lichen that he'd scraped from the rock faces. Fresh bread, boiled eggs, butter, ham, roast chicken, grapes, tinned sardines, juice, tea, water, even a bottle of white wine. There seemed to be no end to the things the father conjured up from the 2 rucksacks. Soon they were sitting together around a small wooden table, tucking in for all they were worth. With his cheeks full and his eyes shining, Degenreif said, "Well, if you all come back every 20 years with such a sumptuous meal, I'll be happy to stick it out here until the end of my sentence." "Well, I do hope we'll have you free soon." His father smiled. "Yes, but what can you possibly achieve with a few splinters of wood and a bit of water against such a massive boulder? Or have you conjured up something up there that I couldn't see?" The father explained, "No, I didn't actually conjure anything up, but there was a small crevice there, and if I'm not mistaken, in 3 or 4 hours you'll be a free man. I mean a free troll." Ferdinand already knew more about this. "My father had explained to me before how they used to work on rocks. In winter they'd simply pour water into the crevices. It would then freeze into ice, which, as we know, takes up more space than liquid water, so the rock would burst apart. And if the weather was too warm for the water to freeze, they'd take some wood, stuff it into the crevice, and wet it so that the wood would swell. This would then create enough pressure on the rock, and it would break open." "You've remembered that very well," said the father, proud of his Ferdinand. With full stomachs and the dim light in the cave, everyone was slowly growing drowsy. Father and son unrolled their sleeping bags, and Degenreif made himself comfortable on his bed of straw, fervently hoping that this would be his last night in the cave. Silence fell. Everyone was fast asleep when, all of a sudden, a tremendous crash jolted them all awake. The massive rock had been blown up and shattered into 2 or 3 pieces, which had now fallen to one side. Degenreif tentatively tugged at his beard and could scarcely believe it when he found himself holding the end with the little blue bow in his hand. I'm free, he cried over and over again. He hugged Ferdinand and his father with joy. How on earth can I ever thank you? Just being able to experience this adventure was reward enough for us, said the father solemnly. Nonsense, declared Degenreif. I was trapped here for 20 years. Now I'm free. I have 2 friends amongst humans. I've eaten better than ever before in my life. And I'm not allowed to show my gratitude? That would be the last straw. How about this? Ferdinand, look here. I've got the other one of the 2 glass marbles. You can have it. Stay true to the marbles and you'll find your way, even if the children's marbles should grow a little larger over time. In the last light of the full moon, father and son set off on their way back. They found themselves back in their own garden through the mist. Degenreif made his way home to his real home in his own way, and all 3 cherished fond memories of one another. Well, what can I say? Ferdinand was guided by the 2 glass marbles and, in one way or another, always remained true to them. By the end, they were a little larger and completely white in color. He made his fortune as one of the best golfers in his country. Sometimes, things from early childhood run like a common thread through one's whole life. And with that, we have reached the end of today's fairy tale. If you enjoyed this peaceful story and would like to make sure you do not miss any non-violent fairy tales in the future, please feel free to subscribe to this channel. I look forward to welcoming you back for the next story.